What is up, budget builders? My name is Trill, and today we have information regarding some new stimulus checks that may be available for college students. According to a new higher education emergency relief fund, some students could receive up to $10,000 each. Now, in addition to that, a new bill was just passed in the House of Representatives. Now, this bill is on the list of duties to be performed every year around this same time frame, which is known as the annual defense bill. Now, this bill determines how much money is going to be available to spend in the year of 2022. And then last but not least, guys, hey, President Biden signed an executive order on Wednesday, and I want to tell you guys all about it today. But before we get started, if you're interested in those particular topics, be so kind and go ahead and hit that like button for us. It really helps out this channel. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. Now, let's go ahead and get right back into this video. Well, guys, to start off, we have some news out of Wisconsin. And it's right here in this article. It says Wisconsin hospital leaders say that they are at the crisis point with another wave of COVID-19. And they're saying that, hey, we are full, period. Wisconsin hospital leaders sound the alarm as the state experiences another wave of COVID-19. Now, the 7-day average of new infections is more than 3,500, which is the highest in a year. Now, during a roundtable that was hosted by the Wisconsin Health News on Tuesday, hospital leaders said that they have reached a crisis point, and they said that we're full, period, said Eric Conley, which is the CEO of Milwaukee's Froedtert Hospital. He said it's really impacting and hindering care for those patients who are not COVID related and who need the care to get in because it's very, very difficult to get to our beds right now. But according to the Wisconsin Hospital Association, the COVID-19 dashboard says that 1,630 people in the state were hospitalized for COVID-19 on Tuesday afternoon, an increase from 212 in the past week. Now, more than 400 of those patients are in intensive care units or ICU units, which are in short supply. But unfortunately, it doesn't look good. And I don't think it looks good for anyone statewide or even across state lines. Our ICUs are pretty much full, said Dr. Imran Abdurrabia, which is the CEO of Data Care. Now, hospitals in the Fox Valley and north central Wisconsin regions reported that only 1 of 2 intensive care unit beds were actually available, and hospitals in northwest and west of the state reported that ICU beds were not even available at all. So, guys, we've seen this already. We've seen not just Wisconsin alone, but other states nationwide are actually receiving an increase in COVID cases. And yes, it's getting crazy out there, guys. Even though we've had a great amount of people actually getting vaccinated, we are still seeing an increase in these COVID cases around all states nationwide. Now, the good news is that we do have some news that are coming out of the CDC, and where they are reporting that 60% of the U.S. is now fully vaccinated. So yes, according to the CDC, now 60% of the U.S. population is fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Now, this comes as the Omicron variant continues to spread across the U.S. It has been detected in 20 states, and the number is expected to continue to increase, according to the CDC. But approximately 71% of the U.S. population has already received at least one vaccine shot, and around 23% have actually had a booster shot. And then some 64% of those over 5 years old are fully vaccinated as well. And that number is around 72% for all adults. Now, in addition to that, we do have some new news coming just out that says that over 200 million Americans are now fully vaccinated. Pfizer and BioNTech said that 2 vaccine doses alone may not be sufficient to protect against infections by the Omicron variant, but could still protect against severe diseases. So yes, as the United States crossed that milestone as the threat of the Omicron variant spurred a flurry of jabs in the recent days, the daily rate remains far below its peak that we had back in April, and the U.S. lags significantly behind several other countries which have inoculated over 80% of their populations. Now, providers are administering about 1.78 million doses per day on average, including first, second, and additional doses, about a 47% decrease from the peak that we saw back in April the 13th of this year, which we actually had around 3.38 million people getting vaccinated every single day. So anyways, guys, hey, this is some good news, especially as this Omicron variant continues to spread around the country as well as other countries as well, because this thing is spreading faster than what we saw spreading from the Delta variant. However, the Omicron does not seem to be as severe as what we've seen with the Delta variant. So that is some good news, and I hope that it actually stays that way. But like I said, guys, right now, COVID cases are actually increasing nationwide. So if you haven't been wearing your mask so far, you might want to go ahead and put it on as we reach into these holidays where we're going to be around a lot of people and this thing is going to be spreading even more. I hope that information helps you guys out. But in other news, President Biden has signed an executive order that directs the federal government to become carbon neutral by 2050. Wow, that is a long time away. Now, on Wednesday, President Biden signed this executive order that requires the federal government to achieve multiple goals related to reducing its carbon emissions, including achieving net zero emissions by 2050. Now, meeting the objectives of this order would require a massive investment by the federal government to buy electric vehicles, upgrade buildings, and change how it procures electricity. Now, the order requires the government to run entirely on carbon-free electricity by the year of 2030 and then reduce its emissions by 65% by 2030 and finally attain net zero emissions by 2050. Now, it also orders the government to stop buying gas-powered vehicles by 2035 and create a net zero emissions building portfolio by 2045. So guys, they are very ambitious goals, but are stipulated by an executive order which can easily be undone by future administrations, which we've always see that whenever we get a new president coming in, they always reverse what the previous president already had in place. But overall, I think this is some very good news as this country continues to use gasoline on a daily basis in our vehicles and us moving to more electric vehicles and more net zero emissions. I really think this is a great thing that he is doing for this country, and I hope that he'll actually succeed. However, I don't think he'll still be the president by that time, or do I think that he will still be alive by that time? But knowing that this country could be net zero emissions free by 2050 is definitely great for our future as well as our children that are growing up in this society. And now it's time for some stimulus update news. On Tuesday, the House of Representatives approved of a $768 billion defense funding bill. Now, the House on Tuesday night approved of 2022 annual defense bill, which authorizes programs and spending guidelines for the Pentagon and other national security programs, which includes changes to the military prosecutions, as well as more money for Ukraine and to pay raises for service members. Now, this bill had bipartisan support as well as garnering 364 votes. 51 Democrats and 19 Republicans voted against this bill. Now, this year's National Defense Authorization Act, or better known as NDAA, authorizes a top-line funding of $768 billion for defense and national security, with $740 billion designated for the Department of Defense, which was $25 billion more for the Pentagon than President Biden had actually requested. Now, in this defense bill, we do have some aid going for the Ukraine, while Russia continues to build up forces near Ukraine's border, prompting concerns in the U.S. and Western Europe. The U.S. plans to send more aid to Ukrainian security forces. The NDAA authorizes a $50 million increase in assistance for this particular purpose. Now, as far as China goes, to deter China, the bill includes $7.1 billion for the Indo-Pacific Deterrence Initiative. Now, the Pentagon has repeatedly called out China the pacing challenge for the Department of Defense. And then we also have some aid going for the sexual assault that's going on in the military, which is one of the highest profile issues this year in Congress, was figuring out how to address sexual assault in the military. Now, this bill would remove the decision to prosecute crimes of sexual assault and related crimes from the military chain of command, but it would not remove all felonies from the chain of command, as Senator Christine Gillibrand of New York advocated for. So yeah, guys, they were able to pass this defense bill for the 2020 defense for the Pentagon as well as other national security efforts. Now, this has only been passed in the House of Representatives, and now this particular defense bill will now go to the Senate for their approval as well. And then it can go to President Biden for him to sign his signature, and this bill will actually go into legislation. And then also, guys, we have in this article where there is now some free money available for college students. Now, this article titles "Free Money. Your child could receive $10,000 in stimulus check payments before Christmas." How the funds are being issued? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Yes, eligible college students are going to receive a stimulus check worth up to $10,000 before Christmas. Now, this is part of a $40 billion bill called the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. The payments will provide pandemic relief to students and institutions nationwide. As a result, thousands of colleges have gotten a portion of these funds already and have been sending stimulus payments to students. Now, Black Medical School, Mahara Medical College, just sent out a $10,000 worth of grants to most of its 956 students that they have recorded on file. Now, those with direct deposits should have received their payments sometime last week. But according to the president, James Hildreth, which students who did not elect for direct deposit can pick up their checks at the campus cashier's office on the 5th floor of the LRC at this Mahara Medical College. Now, as well as that, Bushnell University also issued a total of $642,674 to 206 students. To be eligible, students need to be enrolled in classes on or after March the 13th of 2020, which is around the time frame of when we actually were notified of the actual pandemic against COVID-19. But yes, students need to be able to demonstrate exceptional need either through the FAFSA or through the online application in order to receive this eligible money at the Bushnell University. Now, for that school, they are saying that on average, eligible students should receive around $3,120, with some getting up to $6,500 in grants. Now, in addition to that, Penn State has given more than 31,000 students grants in the range of $1,000 up to $1,800 in its first round of funding, which ended on November the 15th. Now, for the second round, students with exceptional financial needs can file an application online for funding worth up to $1,000 each. Now, this is available for those who did not qualify for the initial round worth $1,800. Now, in addition to that, Florida State University, they also sent a total of $17.7 million worth of grants to 16,000 students last month in November. But there is actually more money where that is coming from, guys, as some students could be getting grants very soon. Now, notably, Duke University will be distributing grants of either $1,750 or $3,000 in December, which is this month. How much the student will receive will vary on enrollment status and the level of demonstrated need that they have. This will mark the third round of funding that Duke has participated in. Now, we also have eligible students at the City University of New York will also be getting grants in December. The city's university system said that students would be notified by mid to late November if they are selected to receive a grant. Now, eligible students will receive a minimum base grant amount, which they did not disclose that amount in this article. Now, this base amount varies by colleges and increases based on the need using the estimated family contribution calculation and reported dependence from the students' FAFSA and their fall 2021 enrollment status. Now, we also have the University of Rhode Island. They are receiving more than $15.5 million in funds from the American Rescue Act. The university said it planned on distributing a block grant in late November. Grants can range from $1,500 to $2,500, depending on the expected family contribution and the number of college credits that they actually received. So yeah, guys, all of this is some great news, and these several universities that have already offered this money or grants to students. Hey, if you have a student and one of them goes to one of these schools, you definitely want to make sure that your child or your student or yourself is actually finding out more information about these stimulus checks that are worth up to $10,000. Now, in addition to that, I want to make sure that you also check with the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund to make sure that your school that was not mentioned in this article, they might be participating in this Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund as well. And if so, they could have some additional stimulus checks that are available for you as well. So you don't want to sleep if your school was not even mentioned in this article. You still want to look up this information and find out more about the university or the school that you actually attend. Now, guys, down below in the description, I'm going to include a link to this article so that you can check it out, so that you can read it over for yourself, as well as click on the links that are included in this article as well, because you need to find out this information if you are a student, or you have children that are a student, or you may know a friend that has a student at one of these universities. Hey guys, this is some free stimulus money or grants worth up to $10,000 each student. But anyways, guys, hey, that's all I have for you today. Now, if you enjoyed this type of content and you want to see more, hey, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. And if you end up liking this video, then go ahead and hit that like button for us. It really helps out this channel, guys, as well as it tells YouTube to share this video with others. But anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching, and I hope to see you on the next video. Peace.